another time, he had the touch made very, very shallow. It was only 3/8 of an inch, or it was less than that, 5/16 of an inch deep. And so he suddenly stopped in rehearsal and he asked if I could make it a little deeper. And so they took a 20-minute break, and I took a 20th hour punching out from under each key and put it together while they went for coffee or something. They came back, and he played for a bit, decided he didn't like it, and I put them all back again. So that was, but he was a nice man. I liked him anyway. He was undoubtedly the most sensitive person I've ever met in my life. I felt that life was just too much for him, that was all. But he was a truly great artist and a genius. He had that hold on an audience, and yet he was terrified of audiences. He told me that he felt they were like a wild animal waiting to tear him to pieces, and actually they adored him, you know, and it was such a shame. But when he went down to New York, I didn't know I was going in the morning. I'd been out tuning. I got back to my shop and they said, "Oh, there's an operator in New York." And I can still remember the number. It was number operator 67. I guess it burned into my brain. And so, fortunately, there was a Trans-Canada airline that is called Air Canada now, office just the next street over. So I rushed over, got a ticket, went home, got changed, got back out to the airport, and I was on my way. When I was getting my luggage off the carousel, a voice behind me said, "Hello, Ted." And it was a music administrator from Stratford. He said, "I'll bet you're here for Glenn." And I said, "You're right." And he said, "I've lost touch with him. Where is he?" So I said, "Well, I'll give you his name." And he stayed out an assumed name. And he'd chosen the name, and I think it was because I was from England. He'd chosen the name John Dunstable. And I told him that. I said, "Well, his name is John Dunstable, and here's his phone number. But if I ever see you again, I'll kill you if you tell him it was me." Who told you? With this trouble with his neck or his shoulder, he'd got this funny little man who used to come up behind him. I only saw him once, come up behind him and do this, you know. And so I phoned him up when I got to the bus depot in Detroit. And he said, "Oh, did you have any trouble crossing the border?" But I was smart enough to get a letter from his manager. And I showed it to the American immigration official, and who said to me, "Oh, fine, you know, things were free and easy in those days too." And he said, "Is he any good at playing the piano?" And I said, "Oh, I think he can scrape by." So I told that to Glenn Gould, and he laughed, he liked it. He was a bit of a ham actor, and at one of his concerts he got talking. Well, his intellect was so incredible that he would just leave you and you wouldn't know what he was talking about. And here he gets up in front of an audience, and he came up out of the trapdoor in a raccoon coat of all things, and he put an intermission sign up. But after the intermission, he came out in a business suit and played properly. But before that, I remember the program was Stravinsky's Ragtime. Someone else played it though. And he lowered in the bend of the piano and pretended to drink from a bottle. And he got talking and talking and talking. And someone in the audience said, we shouted out, "We came here to hear you play, not hear you talk." And I think that really rattled him and helped make him frightened of audiences too. And people started walking out. Because after the intermission, he redeemed himself, but it was really too sad that that had to happen. There were lots of leading artists came to Stratford. Rudolf Serkin was one of them, and I tuned for him. But he hummed, and he stamped as well. But he didn't hum quite as loud as Glenn, I admit. After Stratford, I thought that everything was kind of downhill. But then Banff came along. I got the teaching job. They started up a piano technician in Toronto in George Brown College. And I had been in on the planning committee, so I didn't apply for the job, but I wanted it. But I didn't because I felt it was a conflict of interest. But then one day the president called me, and they'd only had 2 other applicants, or 2 applicants. I didn't even apply for it. So I got that job and did it for 11 years, and then I did it part-time for 2 years. When I retired, which was mandatory at George Brown, at 65, I went out to Banff and put in another 11 years. And Banff was wonderful. I got to work for great artists again. The people were so understanding, and you know, institutional technicians have a very bad time of it. And I had worked in institution, although I can't say I had a bad time, except it was practically a 7-day-a-week job. And but in Banff, that was the nearest thing to paradise for any piano technician. Anyway, I finally retired at age 79, and I'm now 88, so in a nutshell, that's my story.